Hello and welcome to Bedson and Coffey Unfiltered,
where we will be discussing fitness, lifestyle, healthy eating habits, relationships, gas station performance pills, answering romantic queries. You have anything else, Tyler? Is there anything? Do you need help with anything right now? Because I feel like I'm in a position where I can help you with it.
I mean, and everything else that we come across as we go. But you know what it's going to be, right?
It's going to be unfiltered.
Imagine just being a clown and just like popping up and that's what you do for fun. Like
that Wrinkles documentary?
Yeah, you've seen that? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That's the one, that's what originated other people starting to do that. So I guess that guy existed and then a lot of other people decided to copy him, but they took it like to another level where they would dress like scary clowns and they would just be like in a forest or in a random neighborhood and they'd be caught on like camera outside.
Yeah. That documentary was not shot in Kentucky because if it had, that motherfucker lasted about 3 minutes.
He'd been shot.
Yeah, it was like, they interviewing Delmar outside of his fucking trailer in Harlan. Like, what happened? Well, like the goddamn clown come out there.
And stepped on my property. I'm fucking kill him. But when I saw this, my immediate thoughts were like, what do these people do for work?
That
and you like.
I mean, well, the Wrinkles guy did.
Wrinkles got paid for it, so I guess these people were trying to do. But like, what my thoughts were like, how do you have time? If you are like a citizen to dress like a clown.
You make time for what's important, Tyler.
So that's important. Like, can you imagine? That's just like, okay, like tomorrow, that's what we do like for fun.
Do you have a clown costume?
Probably like, not currently, but I did dress like a clown once for Halloween, yeah, back in the day. But it's really funny because I think I was like 6 or 7 years old and I wanted to be like a scary clown. My mom was like, nah, you can't be a scary clown. So she made me be a happy clown. But my two friends I went like trick-or-treating with were both scary clowns.
So you were just, here you are, just adorable.
It just looks like,
and they're creepy as shit.
Looking super happy looking clown. And my friends look like, yeah. And then we all like, I just kind of clashed, I was the outlier clown.
Yeah.
Wasn't very fun. Well, but you imagine that you dress like that every day. And that's what you do for fun. And that's like an activity.
Whatever blows your hair back, like it's, there's people that dress up like furries,
That's interesting, like, cause I wonder how do you get into that? Like, what, do you accidentally meet somebody in a dark alleyway and they're like, hey, you can dress like an animal? Or do you like,
you start all conversations this way?
Like, my thought process on that is just like, how's that start?
And a lot of it's sexual.
Yeah. Like
it is. So I mean, like, imagine dressed up as a mascot.
We probably have a person that's a furry we don't know listen to this, and they're going to be like, they don't fucking know anything.
You're right. We don't. But that's why we're discussing it. So like, feel free, shoot Tyler a message.
Yeah. Let me know. Honestly, we're thinking about having some guests on here soon. That would be.
If you were going to be a koala, I pictured you as a koala. If you were a furry, I pictured you as a koala. But what would you be? Because I think I got you saved. Your profile pic on my phone under your thing is a koala bear.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
You had a picture as like a rooster or something.
Was it?
Just like a giant rooster. Like if you were a furry.
You would picture me as?
Yeah, just a rooster.
That's, what Freud would say about that right now.
Hey. No, I imagine like, okay, so a furry, if they came on here, do you think they would come as themselves?
They better fucking dress as a furry.
Yeah, that's what I would want. Like,
you ain't get my vote.
Imagine.
I want you looking like
me sitting here, we got a fucking rabbit. Just a full-size human rabbit.
Let's go.
I'm interested in this. I would really like to learn more about this. It's just something I'm not educated on.
And knowledge is power.
Yeah. It's like, have you ever had horse meat?
No, you ever had duck meat?
Yes, I have.
Duck down and get you some.
All right, let's get started. Today, we got a lot more questions that we didn't get to go over 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Or however long ago that episode was now at this point. But we're going to go ahead and try to finish some of those off. That episode had a lot of good reviews. People loved it.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, so let's get started, man. You want me to go with one of the first questions?
Yeah, let's start us off.
What are some fast food places for healthy eating?
Yeah. So, first of all, consider, a lot of times when people don't have their meal or something, it's real easy for them to say, well, you know what, this is all I had. This is the only option I had.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make pretty decent decisions at a lot of places. Some of my go-tos, Chipotle.
Yeah.
I like Chipotle. You can do like a protein bowl at Subway. Those are options. Honestly, man, I don't think you can anymore, but used to for years. Like Wendy's was a pretty solid option because you get grilled chicken and a baked potato.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a pretty solid option.
A lot of these places took away some of their healthy options. Like
you can't get anything grilled at McDonald's.
No, they took away all the healthy options there. I guess they just weren't popular. When you're not making money on something, I understand that. But,
yeah, I mean, I guess you have to cater to your clientele. But,
yeah.
But yeah, Chipotle, you know, whenever I'm on vacation, if I want to hit like a meal that way, that allows me to get rice and chicken, foods that I'm used to digesting, foods that I'm used to eating. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, you can get a protein bowl at Subway. You know, those are options. You know, there's a few different things out there. It really depends on where you're at. But sometimes, you know, you don't have time to sit down at a restaurant and order something, so you have to grab something quick.
So one thing I do as part of my service, and I'm sure you might do this too, is I allow people to text me if they're in a bind.
100%.
And you know, I'd rather them do that and let me kind of aid them in picking something,
because that helps down the road so much. Because like this is a learning process, and I can use this as a learning tool.
Exactly. So I got a lot of like real estate investors, people that do some sort of sales jobs, anything like that, and they have a lot of meetings they have to go to, and it may be out at a local restaurant or maybe something quick and fast, but I allow them to message me, send me the menu, and I know
send me a picture of the menu.
Yeah, and I'll pick something based on what I would do.
Yeah.
You know, I may not find myself in those situations, but I would know what to do.
Yeah.
So that's a way that I like to teach people. So for example, one, like you said, is Chipotle. Well, Chipotle has a great nutrition calculator online where you can almost match the macros completely. Of course, they're going to have different scoop sizes based on the person that's picking out for you, but you can get pretty close. Say if your meal is chicken and rice and, you know, avocado, you could do 2 scoops of chicken, some white rice, maybe do like a guacamole on the side, and maybe do a little bit of salsa. And that's going to be close enough where you're still going to be able to get results. Another one I like to do that I think is safe is Chick-fil-A.
The grilled chicken?
The grilled chicken sandwich, where they actually have grilled nuggets now.
They do.
And you can do that. The sauce choices, I normally stick with a lighter sauce. Like I think the buffalo sauce is probably one of the lighter choices.
Some of the others are either mayo-based or add sugar.
Exactly. And then one thing you can do, you don't have to get french fries. They actually have a fruit cup there.
That's exactly what I
So
started to say.
a grilled chicken sandwich or grilled chicken nuggets there and a fruit cup. Man, if you're in a bind, that's quick and easy.
It is. And it's real chicken too. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's not like the sponge processed stuff. Like it's actually chicken.
And we can get into some other places too, like Subway. Sometimes I'll get somebody to get a 6-inch or sub, and I'll do like double turkey with cheese of their choice, veggies. And what I'll have them do is like something like a little bit of the sweet onion sauce, or light mayo even, and I'll have them take the top half of the bread off. And, you know, that's right there, like 25 carbs, probably about 35, 40 protein and maybe 10 fat.
Yeah.
That's not awful, you know?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of options, and it's how you learn to do that is by doing it.
And I think sometimes too, understanding how to order things is huge also.
Yeah.
So like sometimes people go to Subway and they'll think, okay, that wrap is going to be less calories than that bread. And it's not.
No.
Because that wrap has a lot of shortening in it. So it's a lot more higher in fat content and so on. And the carbs really aren't that different. So the wraps are actually higher calorie than the bread.
Yep.
Or even if you're going out to eat, sometimes, you know, you order a steak, but that steak is finished in butter.
Yes.
So asking them to not do so.
Exactly. Learning how to
those things, vegetables.
Order with specifics. Don't be afraid to tell them exactly what you want.
No.
One thing I teach all my clients is these restaurants want you to come eat there.
Sure.
They want to cater to you. By asking them to cook you something in a special way, you're not bothering them. You're still giving them business. Yeah. So don't be afraid to be like, I want my broccoli without butter. If the grilled chicken breasts aren't on the menu as an item, but they have it as a side on the salad, you can probably ask for, you know, two grilled chicken breasts.
Absolutely.
And order some broccoli or asparagus with no butter and eat a meal out and be just fine.
Well, we were eating at, I forget the restaurant, we were eating somewhere, and they didn't have like an actual just grilled chicken dinner option, but they had like this whatever Santa Fe or something chicken with the cheese and all this on top. And Katera's like, they don't have, you know, grilled chicken. I'm like, yeah, they do. They have that. Just tell them you just want a plain. Just ask for it. I mean, like they don't have to put that stuff on it.
So she's like, yeah, that's no problem. And then, that's the thing. Is
there you go.
Not being afraid to ask.
Yeah, you have to kind of take charge. And remember, it's you ordering there. You're paying them money. I have so many that are scared to say what they want, so they just order what's on the menu, and then they end up with something with a loaded calories on it. And if they would have just, tried to order it and ask questions, they would have gotten exactly what they want, which is close to what they're already eating.
Absolutely.
And still get results. And that's one thing I like to teach. Other ones that are great are like a sirloin and sweet potato. Just ask them to cook it with no butter.
Yeah.
Sushi's always a great option, or poke bowls.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good poke bowl places that are coming up. That's becoming more popular. A tuna poke bowl with rice and some vegetables, maybe a little bit of mango in there. Something's good.
Yep. The only thing that I will warn about with that would be that the rice is going to be gram for gram higher.
Yeah, it has more sugar.
Because it's going to have sugar in it.
Yeah.
So if, err on the lighter side with the amount of rice you're going to have there, just simply because it is going to be higher in overall carbs.
What I like to do is if I do eat like a poke bowl, I'll do half rice and half of greens.
Yeah.
Which is always a good option because they always allow a bed of greens. But if you're just like, I want half rice, half greens, they're going to do that for you. So you lower the carbs in that. And then I normally will pick like a plain tuna or plain salmon.
Sure.
And then if I do a little bit of the sauce or anything like that, I always do it on the side.
Yes.
And I add it sparingly because those sauces can be like oil based.
Yeah. And something that I'll do even, sometimes even if I have a meal out, I'm just in such a habit of doing it. But what you mentioned there, and a lot of times people don't even think about this, but I'll always get my dressing on the side for a salad. And instead of just putting it on there sparingly, I'll dip my fork in it first and then pick my salad up with that. And then I get a little bit of dressing in each bite, and it's enough.
Because if you use that whole thing of dressing, man, that's sometimes like 400 calories of dressing.
But any dressing is oil based.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be, oil is gram for gram fat.
Yes.
So you can really, you ordered this salad with grilled chicken, but then you put a half a cup of ranch on it. Now it's got more calories than if you had ordered a steak.
Oh, yeah. And people think it's healthy, though, because it's a salad. So salads are one thing that you can turn into the most unhealthy thing on the menu.
Easy.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
So, but those are some options there. One thing I do, part of my service is people, like I said, will just send me the menu.
I do the same.
And then I will pick something out. Another good one that I just like to mention, what I do in airports a lot. They almost all have a Starbucks.
Yeah.
So I'll do 2 of those turkey, bacon, egg white sandwiches.
Yeah.
And that's a great meal replacement if you're on a trip and you just need something to travel on the go.
Oh, yeah. That's helpful.
Disclaimer, if you're in prep, no fast food. Sorry.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah. It's general nutrition. Sometimes you can get away with it. You got to learn how to do it right, though.
You do. And again, like Tyler said, talking to your coach about that and using those as learning opportunities, that helps a lot. And it'll help your coach, too, because that's things he doesn't have to worry about down the road.
Oh, absolutely. What we got next?
All right. So, this gentleman wants to know the differences he needs to make in training when cutting versus bulking. What I'm assuming he means here is like, rep ranges and weight and so on. Yeah. And guys, this is way simpler than so many
extremely simple.
When we're bulking and when we're cutting. So building muscle and losing fat are based on the exact same principles. We're stimulating the muscle and we're feeding the muscle.
Yeah.
When we're bulking, we do it in a surplus. When we're cutting, we do it in a deficit.
Yep.
The training can literally be the same.
Yeah.
The only difference is, again, we're doing one in a deficit and one in a bulk, and one in a surplus. So my training may not vary that much. The same kind of training that provided the stimulus to build that muscle is going to be the same kind of training that provides the stimulus to keep that muscle.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes people make the misconception of thinking that they need to increase reps and decrease weight.
Yes.
Or you're going to lose tissue that way.
And a lot of it is mental. I'll have people that start a prep and I'll cut their food and I'll put them in a deficit and all of a sudden they're like, I'm weak now. I lost all my strength. And I'm like, oh, no, you didn't. I was like, it's all mental. I promise you. So, I'll come to them to train though. And it's like they won't get as much of a pump. So they think like they're weaker. And I'm like, no. Yes. I remember my last prep. I got down to less than 50 grams of carbs. And I was still lifting the same weight I did when I started. I might have gotten a few less reps every now and then, gassed out a little sooner.
Just because you're getting fatigued.
Yeah. So I may be hitting 11 or 12 reps with 4 plates or something on a hack squat. But towards the end, maybe I was hitting 8.
Yes.
But I still kept that strength.
And you said something there a second ago that I'd like to touch on. people saying they're not getting a pump, that has more to do with the lessened amount of carbs and glycogen being depleted than that does anything else.
Yeah. So
if you start reducing weight to chase a pump, you're going to lose fucking muscle that way. Everything should feel heavy. We're not trying to go from, if you're programmed to be between 8 and 12 and you start dropping that and trying to chase a pump, you're not going to get the same kind of stimulus, and you're going to be reducing weight. And that's how we're going to end up not being able to maintain that tissue quite so well.
And I do the same training almost year round.
Same.
I will take breaks sometimes if I'm fatigued. I opt for extra rest days instead of deloading.
Uh-huh.
That's just kind of my strategy to go about it. I'd rather just take some days off. But as far as training, how I do it between whenever I'm growing or I'm cutting for a show or just cutting for a vacation is pretty much the same way. Exact same rep ranges, exact same number of sets. I just keep the same weight, or I try to work within a number close to it. Mm-hmm. So if your strength's going to drop off by any amount, it might drop off by like 10, 15%, but you should never drop and completely start changing your training.
Not at all.
Like there's for me no reason where you start to do like 20 rep sets.
Yes.
We still want the hypertrophy ranges of 8 to 12s. I think that's a proper place to be. And you want to be trying to hit a number in between 8 and 12.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes as we get closer to a show and we're getting drier and drier, we might incorporate different strategies at that point, but everything should still feel heavy. Yeah. Everything should still be heavy. Mm-hmm. That's the whole idea of strength training is you're trying to, provide a stimulus to maintain that muscle.
It's like, I had one of my guys I've had for about 4 or 5 years start prep again. We did his first show 2-3 years ago and he won. He did really well. Yeah. So we're prepping again and he's upwards towards like 105s, 110s on a dumbbell shoulder press. And I told him, I was like, I want you to either stay there or try to keep increasing with proper form. I don't want you to try to drop that because we're lower in food now. And a lot of that is mental. We can keep those weights going. It might drop slightly, but we shouldn't be dropping down to 70 pounds, Sure. We still want heavy and controlled with proper form.
Absolutely.
Next question.
What you got?
Let me see. What are the best female anabolics for growing and cutting? So this is a loaded question. So
very much.
Let's start with growing because I think it's best we start there. So as far as supplements, I'm considering this person is wanting to know about anabolics.
Yes.
So I would say if we're going to grow for a female, I would start with a lot of basic stuff first, like making sure testosterone levels are at a good spot.
Sure.
We want to make sure they're optimal, not low, because that's going to be the prime force in building muscle tissue, as well as energy, libido, all sorts of other things, keeping estrogen levels in a good spot. Then I actually like growth hormone quite a bit for females.
Yes.
Very low doses. I'm talking like 1 to 3 IUs. Mm-hmm. I don't go much over 3 IUs for any female. As far as injectables, I like NPP or Primo E. Those are probably my top choices. Very, very low doses. Keep that in mind. Women, you guys can get by with like a 10th or an eighth of what a male can. And it does so much. The poison where you're getting the side effects is in the dose or the length of time that you're running it. So make sure you're working with a coach that is educated in that.
Absolutely.
Monitor side effects. For growing orals, you can use Anavar. I would kind of go with the injectable route first if you can find something real and quality. Yes. Also, injectables I feel like are kind of taboo though for some females. Unless you're competing, I'm probably not going to push anybody towards it, to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
Just don't think it's necessary.
No, I mean, if your hormones are in optimal range.
Yeah. If your test levels are in a good spot, you should be able to grow pretty well. And as long as you're training hard, it's always diet and training first.
That's the thing is with anything, before we ever discuss performance enhancement, you first have to make sure that your nutrition and your training are on point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, it's just, that's there to enhance recovery and enhance, the training and the diet. So if those aren't on point, then it's not going to have nearly the effect.
No. So there's a few other ones I can think of. Like I do like T-Bowl for women. It's just oftentimes whenever I mention getting T-Bol, it's so hard to find, and somebody gives them D-Bol or Anadrol.
I'm seeing that with Anabar as well.
Yeah, and it's almost like a risk. You can get these tested, but a lot of the Roy tests are actually false. Mm-hmm. I've seen them actually read Anabar as negative when it's prescription Anabar.
Yeah.
So
order those tests online pretty easy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They're a little harder to find out.
They are. So it's almost like just getting it from an extremely trusted source.
Yeah.
As far as dosages,
So I had actually, I talked to a lady the other day, and she said that her husband suggested she use Anavar to assist. And this lady had never done any sort of, performance enhancement or anything. And she said that he gave her 50 milligram tablet.
oh shit.
And I said, yeah, well, that's extremely high, for especially you've never done anything. So you're going to be very sensitive. I said, you need to be closer to 10.
Yeah, even lower. I've started off some females on 2.5 or 5.
Yes.
And I see how they respond first, and then we kind of go from there.
Exactly.
It's so easy to use. Like, men will often put their wife or significant other on doses that they use. And it causes all these irreversible side effects. Like, I don't know how many times I've had a woman come to me and she's on the same cycle as her husband. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh no, this is not what we want.
And, they can get by with more androgynous drugs without side effects as easily.
Like a female can run as low as like 5 milligrams of test a week, and they can be at optimal levels.
Absolutely.
And that is really, in my opinion, all that's needed. Mm-hmm. As far as like MPP or anything like that, as low as like 20 milligrams a week to start even.
20 milligrams a week is great.
I've seen people go up to 50 or 100. I don't think that's always what you need.
No, it's not.
But
And two, I do want to mention here too, especially when we're discussing these drugs for females, like the test using shorter esters should any issue arise, like test prop over, say, test enanthate or test SIP. And then the NPP. NPP is nandrolone phenylpropionate.
yes,
Nandrolone is often thought of as DECA, because we have non-decanate, which is the longer ester. As a female, NPP is going to be a better option than actually the decanate ester, simply because, again, we want to monitor side effects and we want to try to avoid them. So if you start noticing side effects and you're taking a drug that has a 2-week half-life, well, we still got more time on this.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be longer to get out of your system.
especially if you start having side effects. So one way I get my women to monitor side effects is like make them do voice recordings.
Sure.
And I'll have them compare the voice recordings.
Oh, sure.
That's a good way to do it. If you notice anything changing with your voice, it's probably time to pull back a little bit.
Absolutely.
So for cutting, I do think it's a little bit different.
It is.
So my favorites for cutting, and then what I know a lot of people use as well, the upper levels of female bodybuilding, of course, are stuff like Mast P or Mast E, even Primo E. You'll have some that use Winstrol, Provire, Anabar again. It's pretty basic. I think Primo E and Mast P are probably the most common.
They will allow for less emphasis on the AIs and stuff.
Yeah, so AIs are kind of, I feel like AIs are still going to be widely used. I don't think they're ever going to go away. The issue is with AIs is they're oral. And so a lot of people are going to take an oral before they take an injectable. It's a lot easier for them to get. And then what's going to continue to happen is people at the upper level at the Olympia will continue to use AIs and serums. And one girl will get beat by that girl that's still using them, and they're going to go continue to use them.
Yeah.
I do think Mast P or Primo E are better options and safer, but you also have the risk of is what you're getting legit.
Primo especially too.
Yeah, that's the one that always worries me, especially if a client tells me they're getting in, it's like a super cheap price. I'm like, and I've seen people start what they think is Primo, and then their weight spikes 3 or 4 pounds, and that's not normal.
No.
So with cutting and a lot of females, the biggest thing is when you're getting into your supplementation, you want to make sure that it is what it's supposed to be.
And the issue there being it's not always pharmaceutical sources. So you can't, so again, that's very difficult, and it's hard to say one way or another. Again, a trusted source, but you're talking about things that are, outside of certain regulations and so on. But with that being said, monitoring the side effects, monitoring those things that you can, controlling those variables, But yes, and and the same things apply to the females as the males. Like bulking doesn't take that much. Bulking you're just using to enhance so that you can consume more food.
Very, very light amounts of stuff. Like I said, you can get by with just a light amount of tests, but if your test is at proper levels, you may not need that.
And there's even some other routes we can take there too. Even like adding boron citrate.
Yeah, boron can actually increase natural test levels itself.
15 milligrams a day can help you be a little bit more optimal.
Yeah,
so there's other options there too.
And I think a lot of people are forced into using stuff whenever they may not need it yet. With females, with PrEP, I found that, as long as thyroid's in a good spot, as long as estrogen's in a good spot, and as long as testosterone levels are in a good spot, it's pretty easy to cut. So I'm usually looking at estrogen-progesterone ratios too. So if we're not estrogen dominant and those levels are kind of in a good spot, we're not going to have any issues cutting or getting lean.
Yeah. And there's other options too, even aside from like an AI or a SERM, the estrogen metabolizer.
Yeah.
That Clinical makes. I use it often.
It's a great one because we're lowering estrone levels, which, we're not going to directly burn fat. I think people think when they run like an AI or a SERM or an estrogen metabolizer, it's going to just like burn fat and all that. When in a way we're just controlling those estrogen levels, and in a way it's making for like a tighter look.
Sure.
Yeah, less water retention. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it though.
And then especially as we get closer to a show.
Yeah.
Controlling it as it becomes more and more important the closer we get, especially into peak week and, a couple weeks out, just to get that drier, tighter look is what we're looking for. So that's when we would really begin to manipulate those hormone levels.
So in conclusion, females, it's really low doses of things. Make sure whoever you're using for coaching is educated on that, so you're not fucking yourself up long term. Like, there's nothing worse than you getting all these negative side effects that are irreversible.
Yes, because a lot are irreversible.
But you also have to remember, with female bodybuilding at upper levels, with figure, women's physique, etc., these women get using some pretty hard stacks, and they don't care about the side effects. I will straight up tell you that some of them have already had their kids. They don't want kids. They do not care. And that may be what you're going against. And,
and here's the thing, like not knocking anybody for the decisions they make, but, considering your health always. But, there's certain things that, if you say you want to get to this point, then certain things are going to be required of you. You're going to have to make some sacrifices one way or another. But if you're trying to, just simply improve, do a class with, some of the smaller classes and so on, you can get by with a lot less.
Yeah,
than most things.
Absolutely. And it becomes a point where how far do you want to go?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, with a lot of it, I think time is going to be the better answer rather than throwing in a bunch of drugs at once to try to catch up to some of these people.
Oh, God, yes.
With females, you guys, you get better as you get older. And that there are women that are 40 plus years old winning pro shows. Oh, yes. And some of you are 25 years old and you think that you're going to blow up so quick, but you in reality have like 15 to 20 years left to be your absolute best.
Absolutely.
That is one thing I've noticed about women. The older they get, the better they get. The longer you do it, the more muscle you have, the more dense you are, and the leaner you get.
Absolutely.
So if it comes down to it and you're trying to catch up, take the slow route. Do lighter doses of things in controlled manners and be patient, because I do think that's going to pay off with less side effects. And I do think as female bodybuilding continues to evolve, they're going to reward women that are more feminine.
I mean, it says it in,
yes.
Judging criteria.
If you look at the women that are winning the Olympia, winning the Arnold, they are very feminine still. They aren't using as much as someone would think, but they've been very patient. Like Francielle Matos, for example, she's, been training for a very long time. She has multiple kids too. I think she has 2 kids. Yep. But that just proves to you, it's just like it takes a lot of training, a lot of dedication, and maintaining a certain look that the judges desire.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes a long time to build tissue anyway.
Yeah.
And to reiterate what you said, the poison is in the dose. So, if you think that you're going to make up for that time by increasing dosages, well, now you're going to experience a lot more side effects as well.
Exactly. And as long as you're working towards what you're supposed to, like I encourage long times off of cycles for females. I think it's a great idea to take a break and just make sure levels are all at a certain spot.
Sure.
And you're getting your period back, things like that, so that you can actually do this for an extended period of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's up next?
Let's see what we got next.
All right.
So this person is asking, since we were discussing the aromatase inhibitors, this person was asking about cholesterol levels and aromatase inhibitors. And I think what they're talking about is, so whenever we start using an aromatase inhibitor and we start crushing estrogen levels, you will notice HDL will come down too. So if you're running estrogen, aromatase inhibitors and your estrogen levels start to bottom out, HDL will come down. So maintaining healthy levels of estrogen while we're bulking, while we're cutting, so on. Again, what we talked about earlier was manipulating that close to the show. We're not saying you need to have bottomed out estrogen throughout the prep, but, maintaining healthy estrogen levels inside normal ranges to a point is going to be more beneficial to cholesterol levels. You will see if somebody is taking an overdosed AI or is running an AI in high dosages and they get their blood work done, the HDL is going to be
it's going to be always messed up.
And so that can be an issue, especially if you're doing it for a prolonged period of time. Then you really start to have an effect on your heart health and so on.
I always prefer Aromasin, honestly, because in comparison to like Arimidex and Istrozole, that's going to be a little bit better on cholesterol, but I don't think it's enough if you're running too much.
It's not. If you're running too much, it's going to be this.
There's really
issue.
No way around it. So I like to keep those as minimal as possible. Like we talked about kind of with females, the route that a lot of people are going now with the new models of how cycles are is a lot more DHTs rather than aromatase inhibitors. So running Primo E or Masteron on higher doses to make that work better than overloading on AIs, which could be detrimental to progress.
Yeah.
So think about that as well. I do think the world of bodybuilding is changing.
We're learning more and more,
I don't think it's a fad or a phase with it either. I do think we're evolving with what we know through science and studies. So as cycles continue to change, especially with people, a lot of them are passing away. A lot of those heart complications and everything are caused by some of those cholesterol levels.
Absolutely.
Being poor for so long. And I could think of a lot of bodybuilders that could possibly have been the issue.
Absolutely.
And I think that we are going to go a different route in the future, and a lot of people need to be open to new things. So AIs, like I said, I think everybody, when you start cycling, like I remember my first cycle ever, like I was told if I didn't run an AI, then I would get gyno. Like, but in reality, that probably wasn't the case. I probably could have just ran less testosterone.
There's countless guys that are on TRT that don't use any sort of AI.
Yeah, you don't really need it. There's some that do. I have had some people get blood work back and they're only on a cruise level of test and their E2 is just extremely high. So it's possible you could combat that a little bit with an AI, but there's also other options. I do think in the past, like I said, my first cycle, I think was 500 milligrams a test, but I was running I thought I needed to run like a milligram of Arimidex daily. Oh, so what was I really doing there?
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm pretty sure.
You were taking a milligram?
Yeah, because that's what somebody had told me way back in the day. And that's what I thought I had to do. And, I read that on forums and stuff like that. This is back when I knew nothing.
And for those that don't know, like 1 milligram of Arimidex is a pretty high dose.
Oh,
it's
extremely.
25 milligrams of Aromasin.
Yes, which is, that's going to pretty much shut down your estrogen levels completely, even if you're running a decent dose of testosterone. So my estrogen levels were under 5, which is extremely low. And that's going to cause issues with your joints, your libido, your energy levels, your ability to build muscle is minimal. Your mind.
You can actually get to the point that you're having some dark thoughts and get
clinically depressed. Yes. Absolutely. So I always tell people, because they'll come to me and it's 9 times out of 10, the cycles they ran before, they're running these copious amounts of AIs. And I'm like, let's back that down. And they're like scared at first.
Yeah.
because they've heard and read on stuff that if they do that, they're going to get gynecomastia.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily true.
No.
There's a lot more involving with gynecomastia, lifestyle factors. You can drop your test down a little bit. There's other things you can run with it. So keep that in mind. AIs are not always the solution.
Absolutely.
Next up, let's see. All right. This is a good one because I always have people do this. Do you consider mowing the lawn cardio?
You consider sex cardio?
No.
I mean, I guess it all depends.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
what's your bedroom look like? I mean, like that. Do you have aerobics equipment in there? Like, what are you doing?
yeah, I guess if you're doing like some kind of like crazy trapeze type stuff, yeah, but I consider cardio where you're getting your heart rate at a certain level for an extended period of time.
Yes, like
And mowing the lawn, I've mowed the lawn many times, and I mean, it does take a length of time.
I think it would count more toward your step count than it would.
Yes, it would go towards your NEAT.
If you're wanting to look at that your NEAT, which is non-exercise induced thermogenesis, if you're wanting to look at that, then sure, it's going to count toward your total steps. Mm-hmm. But if we're looking at, say Tyler and myself prescribe 30 minutes of, moderate intensity, steady state cardio, and we're looking for your heart rate to be in a fat burning range, that's not going to put it there.
I mean, you're probably going to be in around 110 beats per minute, maybe 115 max, mowing the lawn, even if you're pushing a mower. Yeah. But I just don't think it should be counted. It's kind of like walking your dog. When I'm walking my dog, I walk at a pretty fast pace. Yeah. But I still just consider those my steps. I don't consider that my, 30 minutes of trained cardio where I'm not at all, because during my actual cardio, I'm at least 120 to 140 beats per minute.
Like if we're in peak week and we're getting to the point that we start to remove cardio and we do just, a walk, like a leisurely walk to assist with digestion or something, that's different. Mm-hmm. If we're looking at fat burning, we're looking at cardio for the sake of improving aesthetics and increasing caloric output and so on. I don't count that toward it. I mean, again, it's going toward that non-exercised.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, some of these people are riding lawnmowers nowadays, and I assume it's pushing, but it's
Does riding my lawnmower count as
yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, I'd just do that for cardio every day if it did. But
I'm going to get skates for the treadmill.
I've had people in prep, and they'll be like, I subbed one session of cardio with mowing the lawn. And I'm like, the fuck is that? No, you didn't. Like, that's not going to get you the same progress as your stair mill or your treadmill does with your elevated heart rate. So when you're thinking of cardio needs to be set at a certain pace. Yeah. And unless you're reaching that certain heart rate, then I would not count any such activity as cardio.
Yeah. So like, think of your lifting session. If when you're finished with your lifting session, you feel tired, you feel worn out, you feel beat up, Mm-hmm. If you're done with your cardio and you feel fresh as a daisy, you don't have that same fatigued feeling, what have you done? Mm-hmm. If you've not broke a sweat, if you've not, when you're done, if you're not fatigued.
Yeah.
No,
I agree.
All right. What we got? What's next here? Let me see. All right. So this one, this one's for Tyler, actually. What are you laughing for?
Because it's probably something ridiculous.
It's not. It's what? So we're going to go off script here just a little bit. Why does it have to be ridiculous, Tyler?
Because it's just it's a standard that we have to meet to be a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, like
I'm looking at this list of questions.
You're not taking this as serious as I'd like for you to right now. And then some of this question was important to this person.
Okay,
I'm here for you guys.
Yeah,
I'm here for you guys. So now that I'm reading it as they've written it. Now that the podcast is up and going and has several episodes in, how does Tyler feel about becoming a sex symbol? And does he have an OnlyFans or plan on creating one?
Jesus Christ. Wow. What a loaded question.
He does.
Can you imagine if I had an OnlyFans? I don't even think I could I wouldn't know what to post, first of all.
At One Leg Dragon.
One Leg Dragon. Yeah.
So that's...
Eli's my manager. Hit him up if you need business.
Yeah. So how does it feel?
If you like short, dwarf-looking men, like Dragon is for you.
There's a market for everything out there, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if you like we get the furries on here. Imagine now, like you got.
Well, there's people I'm pretty sure that are like selling their bath water now. They're selling feet pictures.
Have you ever been asked to sell your posing trunks?
Yeah, multiple times. But, you know, I never understood those people. I always felt like it was somebody just trolling everyone.
Yeah.
Like I could see it being like one of our friends, like super bored and they just had too much free time. They're like, I'm going to see if any of these guys will actually buy in. Like who's desperate for money right now?
Yeah. Sometimes the English is broken though. And you're like, okay, no.
Well, I had this.
Really trying to buy them trunk.
I had this one guy message me one time, and he was just talking to me on Facebook. I ended up having to block him because it was super weird. But he was just messaging me, and it was like normal stuff.
I ended up having to block him. So
yeah,
that didn't mean you blocked him instantly.
No, I didn't block him instantly. He started off normal. I thought he wanted to like be coached for a show or something.
Okay,
and I was like, okay, like yeah. And so I was talking to him. So I was like, yeah, man. So I normally ask people, I'm like, go and send me some current progress pics and I'll tell you what we can do. Because he wanted to like compete soon. So this dude sent me pictures with his head photoshopped onto another dude's body.
It would have been great if they were like way different skin tones.
It looked like a whole different person. Like you could tell, like it was very photoshopped. Like it was like this little kind of like nerdy dude's head. And then it was all like this yoked ass body. And I actually found the dude that was the body. And I was like, I messaged him. I was like, hey man, I just got a question. Is this you? And he said, yeah, what the fuck is that? And I said, this guy contacted me for training. I'm pretty sure you photoshopped his head onto your body. So, but the reason I'm telling the story is this guy was like messaging me and I then always noticed it was just weird. So I stopped responding to him because it was weird. So the messages kept coming in though. And it was like, hey man, how you doing? Or it's like, just like normal stuff like that. And then it just became like, would you sell me your posing trunks? So I feel like that was what he was trying to get to the entire time, but he had
how much do you make off that?
I didn't sell them. They're just too sentimental to me. You know, I hang mine up on the walls in the house and I'm just
you know, like I'm not gay, but $20 is $20.
Hey, you know, what else are we going to do with those though? I have some that they're soiled. You want my soiled, nasty draws?
They're soiled?
No, I'm just kidding. They're not that bad.
How hard did you strain posing?
It's a tan, bro. I'm not like shitting myself.
The soiled is a word.
Oh, yeah, okay, it is, isn't it? Yeah. So I didn't shit myself on stage.
Here's one for you. So like,
I did backstage.
That made me think. So we'll use that. He didn't poop himself.
No, not that time. First competition, maybe.
Not his first competition.
Can you imagine that? You're on stage, you just shit yourself.
That'd be a rough day.
Like, you're doing your first competition ever. You prep for 20 weeks. You get on stage, and you just shit yourself.
Yeah.
Like on stage, you're like doing a pose and it was projectile right into, sorry, Jimmy, not into Jimmy Hornback, but you know, it goes in his direction. Do you think he'd beat your ass? Like, what do you think? What would happen in that situation? I hope Jimmy listens to this because he don't know what the fuck.
Jimmy, I'm sorry. Jimmy, if you listen to this, I don't know.
Well, watch, he'll be like, knowing Jimmy, he'll be like, well, actually, was one time in Pittsburgh that did happen.
I'm sure the shit that he has seen.
Oh, he's probably seen some crazy stuff. He hasn't.
Dude, he's been in the game. Yeah, he's an OG. But he's seen some crazy.
I know we've all seen nip slips and stuff like that, but you know, that's a different one.
Yeah.
Has there ever been, you know, a ball out of socket? I don't know, like, you know, just like, here's a testicle, you know?
Yeah. Well, like sometimes it's like you don't find trunks that fit just right.
Nah. What's that one trunk maker and he makes them so it just makes like just a giant dick outline? It doesn't even look like honestly, if somebody got up on stage and some of those ones that this particular brand makes, if one of my clients bought them, I'd probably be like, buddy, we got to talk.
Just get up on a tube thong or something.
Yeah, just get up there and it's just like a banana hammock. It's just like a complete outline. There's just like a dick pocket.
Well, I mean, like, not all people wear the same size trunks. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, sometimes you might have to.
Well, there's like reputable brands, I feel like at this point that look like, you know, tasteful.
Sure.
You know, like I send a lot of people to Chula Wear. I think that's one of my.
Do they make them custom?
Yeah, they at least make them in a way where they look presentable.
Yeah.
You don't got like these weird imprints or strange shit going on. They contain your package no matter the size, big or small. And it does what it's supposed to do, you know, but you have some of these, man, it's just like, I'll have guys order trunks. They'll send me pictures, and I'm like, buddy, you gotta get some different trunks. I'm gonna be honest with you. They're not gonna let you wear those on stage. Yeah. And I have seen them have people at check-ins, and they straight tell them, like, man, sorry. I had that one kid backstage in Tennessee one time, and he had these trunks on. And we were looking at it, we were like, where the hell did you get those at? And he's like, some sex shop.
Yeah.
And one of the ex-batters comes up to him and is like, man, you got any other trunks? Like, I just don't think you should wear those up there. It was like see-through almost.
They're mesh. Yeah, bro. That's tremendous.
But I like, we were just sitting there talking to him. This kid's young, bro. He's probably like 18 years old. And we're like, he's like, do you guys think these are bad? And we're like, I wouldn't wear them. I wouldn't want my pictures on the internet and those.
Yeah, it's just a jock strap.
It's just, yeah. I'm like, where the hell did you even buy those at? Like, who told you there to go? But yeah.
So back to what we were saying as far as you being sex symbol.
No, it's hard. It's hard life.
We keep getting off subject with this, But how has it affected you personally?
It hasn't, man.
It hasn't?
No, I don't talk to you. I don't leave the house.
Just being you.
I'm just being me.
Just being you.
I get my beard trimmed up like every 2 weeks.
Looks good. Looks nice.
Super bald.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
That's all you have to do.
It's not a challenge.
It's natural.
It's natural.
It's natural.
What's that one conditioner? Pantene, is that the one?
Is that what you use?
On my head, yeah.
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 I can see it.
Yeah, Pantene.
Looks good. Pantene Pro V.
Yeah. That one's for ultra silk heads.
Yeah. You can see it. Looks good.
What's
there you go,
questions? See, those are questions that are just like
necessary is what he's saying. Those
necessary.
Super necessary.
The person that asked that's probably on drugs. How many meals a day are necessary to grow?
How many meals does it take you to get in a surplus?
Yeah. So my views have changed on this over the years. Back when I first started, I was a big 6 meals a day guy.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
Everything else does too. So if you can get into a surplus off 5 meals a day or 4 meals a day, I think you can be successful.
That's it. And I think too, sometimes the number of meals is really based around your schedule. Like say, you say, I want to do 3 meals a day, but we can't get a meal around your training session in adequate time, then we might have to include shakes or something.
Say your protein's at 270 grams and you want to only eat 3 meals a day. That's 3 meals, about 90 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Can you digest that? Maybe. It's going to be kind of hard on your body, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you would be better off at that point breaking it up a little bit more.
Yeah, so I like to break mine up. I do a minimum of 5 meals personally. I think that's my sweet spot. I like 5 meals, but I typically do 6 when I'm growing. I do have some guys go up to 7 meals a day.
Sure.
And that depends on how much size they need to put on.
I have a guy right now, he's got abs at 280. Mm-hmm. He's 50 years old. He's 6'3", and he has abs at 280.
Damn.
Dude, he is a monster. And,
yep.
One of my closest friends, Big Charles, if you're out there listening, the dude is incredible. And we're getting ready to do a show. It's going to be his first. Mm-hmm. And he's 50 and 280 with abs already.
Nice.
Dude. And then to get in the amount of food that we need, like I have to give him, he's about 7 meals a day right now. Mm-hmm. And a shake included. So if you include the shake, 8.
Yeah, but that's what's necessary for some people. To get in the calories you need.
It's whenever you start thinking about how many calories it takes for somebody to grow in the way 130 compared to 230 compared to whatever, with those amounts of muscle, like you've got to have the food.
Yeah, and I can fit some people and put them through a very solid growth phase off 5 meals.
Absolutely.
It ends up being how much can they digest, I think, which goes in case with how much water are they drinking. Mm-hmm. Can you assimilate that food? Are you using digestive enzymes? Is your digestion in a good spot?
Yeah.
Are you choosing the correct food sources that are easy for your body to digest? So I think a lot of this goes down to nutrient timing as well.
And for me too, like when I'm bulking, I choose foods that are a little easier to get down. Like I use a lot more, I'll use ground meats a lot of times when bulking, just so I can eat everything with a spoon and get the food down and digest it a little easier. I feel like
I agree with that. I try to cut my food at least into smaller pieces. It does help to mix everything up and just kind of be able to.
I just try to mix it up with a spoon just so I can get it down.
Yeah. And so the amount of meals you do can be based on your schedule alone too. How fast are you able to put down your meals in good time constraints? Like if you're taking an hour and a half to eat a meal because it's so big that then you're digesting it for another 3 hours, that's a thing too. But if you're making your meals spread out and it's easier for you with your schedule, why not do 6 or 7 a day?
Yeah, it's very much relative to the individual and their individual needs.
Mm-hmm. So don't think there's any right or wrong way. Mm-hmm. Don't let anybody tell you there's a right or wrong way. I will say I think there's ways that are more optimal.
Yes.
I personally, like I said, I'll start off people with 5, and then typically if I need to go to 6, I will. If I need to go back down to 4, I will. Mm-hmm. Kind of go based on the person.
And that's based on their individual needs.
Yeah, and it's the feedback they give me. So, yeah, you want to do one more? Think we got time for one more?
We got time for one more? We good?
Yeah.
Let's do one more.
What's one more?
We can do a quick one here. We can do BCAAs versus EAAs.
Man, that's changed over the years. Remember back in the back when I worked at the supplement shop, it was all branched chain amino acids. That was like the popular product. They thought that was like the king of everything.
Yeah.
I remember they had Extend. Do you remember that?
I do.
Extend was like one of the most popular brands we used to sell. We'd sell it nonstop because people thought it was built for recovery, is the building blocks of protein, muscle. Right. And over the years, what they discovered is they were not responsible for what they thought it was responsible
if you're eating adequate amounts of protein, you don't need BCAAs.
Nope. And
I'll use EAAs.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening that is unfamiliar with the difference in the two, BCAAs are branched chain amino acids. Okay. EAAs are essential amino acids.
Uh-huh.
Essential amino acids are the ones that your body can't produce on its own. So, using those during training can be can be helpful. I don't use BCAAs.
Uh-uh. No, I haven't used them in probably about 8-9 years.
They Muscle Milk, years and years ago, come out with a Monster Milk line.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I do.
But they had the Monster Milk line. They had their Monster pre-workout, Monster Aminos, and it was BCAAs. And at that time, I had like a small gym in my home.
Yeah.
And I'm in my kitchen, and I'm mixing up I thought I'm going to mix I didn't, whatever, I was a kid. And I thought I want to mix up my Monster Pre with my Monster Aminos, and I'm shaking that up. And do you remember, I think, God, what was the one that Ronnie Coleman advertised for it together? The pre-workout, you remember, in the red?
Was it Explode?
Explode?
Yeah, okay.
Do you remember how that shit would almost carbonate when you shake it, like it would foam up?
Yeah.
Well, by God, this did too. And I'm shaking it, and it's in the morning, and that fucking thing pops open, and I just spray this foamy amino substance all over my ceiling.
Oh, man.
And it's red, the ceiling's white. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I've just ruined my kitchen ceiling.
We have to do a paint job.
Clean it. God, dude, it was so nasty.
Yeah. Some of the products and the way they marketed stuff back in the day in comparison to now, I always tell people fitness is forever changing. Don't get glued on one idea that something is the best or the only way, because chances are, as the years go by, they're going to find out something completely different.
It's like anything else. I mean, that's the whole, science behind anything is we're ever studying and ever learning about these things. And sometimes we realize that there's more optimal ways to go about stuff. Some things we thought were big deals aren't. Mm-hmm. It's like the BCAAs. They're to me, they're a waste of money.
Yeah.
If you're eating decent, they're a waste of money.
And essential amino acids proven to be actually useful.
Yes.
And what happened is a lot of those branch chains that they used to sell, all they did is they relabeled them as EAAs instead.
Yeah.
And that was it, because a lot of those branch chains actually already had EAAs in them.
They did, yeah.
And that was just the secondary. But now, they've kind of labeled it towards the essential amino acids, and the leucine, isoleucine, and valine of branch chains have kind of been pushed to the side. You don't hear much about them anymore. No, just not really.
Yeah. And that's, the Reconstruct product that I use. I like it. I mean, you can look and you can see directly on the label what's in it. Everything's very transparent.
Yeah.
And I'll use that, and I'll drink that during my workout.
Yeah. That's about the only time I drink it too. I will say, a lot of people don't know this, but essential amino acids do have calories.
They do.
And I have people who think they can drink them like 4 or 5 scoops throughout the day in their gallon of water.
Well, you know where that comes from?
Yeah.
That whole all day you may thing.
Oh, yeah. I remember Rich Piana did that.
Gallon jug. It's like, dude, you're cutting.
Yeah.
And you're drinking this. And it's like, you realize that has calories.
It's 2 calories per gram. So if you're doing 20 grams of EAs and you're doing that, say each scoop is 20 grams and you're doing 5 scoops of that a day, that's 200 calories.
Yeah.
And that adds up real quick. That can take you from a deficit to a surplus.
It surely can.
And that's something to think about, because like we know, the FDA doesn't really regulate supplementation. So a lot of these things can have calories, and it's just not marked on there. So like most people, if you see something, there's no nutrition label that monitors calories, you're just going to think it's 0 cal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something to look at is what's actually in the formula.
Absolutely.
But I think that's good for today, man. Any closing statements? Anything? Any news?
Any news?
Yeah.
Nothing that comes to mind. You?
Well, I will say Clinical might be having some new products coming out. We don't want to talk about specifics, but keep your eyes out for that.
And if in your spare time, if you want to go check out One Leg Dragon.
Yeah. You can sign up. I am $24.99 a month. I post videos of me.
It's kind of high. It seems kind of high, the content.
If you've seen somebody pogo stick with their one-legged dragon, then it's pretty impressive, and that's worth about $25 a month to see.
It is. It's in the off season when he's a little thicker. It looks like he's on one of them hippity hops.
Oh man, I remember those. It does kind of look like that. You're right.
It does.
Have I showed you the video of it?
I seen it in person.
You're a subscriber. That's right.
Well, I filmed it. You. Jack.
Oh shit! Yeah, fuck.
You hadn't seen me in my check yet either. By the way, I got
to get more signups, bro. More subscribers.
Oh shit! Percentages are percentages. It's. Yeah, he always laughs this stuff off. It's no laughing matter.
Well, I think it's time for us to discuss this over a hot cup of coffee.
This has been Bedson and Coffey Unfiltered. Thank you guys for listening.
Make sure to go follow us on social media.